Hey everybody, I am Kim Peters. Welcome back to another episode of What Not to Do. Because I did it, so don't do it. Today we're talking about volume. When I first took a workshop, I was in this workshop, I didn't even know how to use oil paints or anything. I was completely lost. Big surprise, I'm usually completely lost. The teacher was amazing. She is still just incredible as a painter. And there were a whole bunch of us in the class, and we were watching her do her demo, and everyone around me was saying,
"Oh, look at her volume."
And I'm looking around, I'm going,
Yeah, look at her volume.
no idea what they were talking about. What is her volume? And then they said,
"Oh, look at that forehead that she's painted. Look at the volume in the forehead."
And I started cluing in that they were talking about what she was painting, obviously. But I couldn't quite figure out what it was that volume was. It was kind of an intangible for me. So I started this search to see what is volume, and today you get to see what I've discovered. One of the easiest ways to think about what volume is to start imagining the weight behind whatever you're painting. So if you're painting a person, what weight does that person's head have? If you think about the weight of whatever it is that you're painting, still life, doesn't matter, you start to think about the three-dimensionality of it. And that's really what volume is taking a three-dimensional object and putting it into two dimensions so that it appears to have the same weight. So if you go back to your school days, which for me was just a couple years ago, you're thinking about volume as, it's height times length, right? Equals your volume. I think that's what it is, right? Or
no.
Depth times width?
No, it's...
Okay, what is volume?
It's...
So you're thinking about dimensions because I think there's a fallacy that's gone around that art is purely subjective, but it's not. There are some real objectives. And one of those things, especially if you're painting people, is their measurements. What weight do they have that can be described so that it feels three-dimensional? I'm going to get my science lab stuff on and we're going to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go science it up. Everything occupies some kind of space. Everything. Everything is pushing out into space. Everything. So when you're thinking about... Ow. You should not be laughing so hard. So when you are thinking about volume, think about how things push out into space. Darn it, this stupid... All right, so everything is pushing out into space, all right? So if you think of this balloon as your head, how are you going to describe how you're painting the head? You can see that it's pushing out and it's not completely spherical, but it has its own shape, it has its own way. So when I put the air into the balloon, it pushed out on the sides and it made this. It pushed away the rest of the space so that it could take up more space. That's exactly like what we're doing when we're painting heads. Everything has an angle. Everything's pointing in a certain direction. So how do you figure that out? Well, you can use a ruler. You can start to have a mental ruler. You can train your brain to see what are the angles. How is that arm actually pushing out into space? Where are the little angle changes which would describe what the volume is of whatever it is that you're painting? Let's take Georgiana here to the lab. On Georgiana, you can see that we have a light source coming from the top left. And as we move it over her face, you can see the different volumes appear. You can see which gets highlighted, which comes forward, what makes shadows, what are the low points on her face, what are the high points. This is one of the things that makes it so easy to see the volume. Same as if you were to put her underwater. Slowly the water is displaced and you can tell what is the bigger volume by what stays out of the water last. This is one of the paintings that I'm just finishing up on, and as I was going through and checking all my volumes, I noticed something that hadn't been there before I put in the dark background. And that's that this shape here, the arm shape, isn't the right volume. So if you think about it like this roll of canvas I have here, the problem with this arm is that it's not tucking underneath. So I need to go through and repaint that a little bit so that this arm actually does curl back around. And something similar happened on this side, except with the angle of the arm. So I'm going to go through and make sure that that angle is actually correct. So I've noticed that this angle in particular isn't quite right. So I'm going to go and I'm going to repaint that part too. It might be hard to see, but all I'm doing is just darkening up that edge so that the arm is that perfect cylinder, so it tucks right under. It's a lot easier to see how light this forearm is and that sharp line on the left-hand side, so I really need to darken it up, pay attention to the values, and make it turn. And here, just a change in the angle can make all the difference in the world. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. I hope that this video was useful for you and that you enjoyed it. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know how this went for you. If you understood volume a little better, if it's something that you have questions on, just let me know. As a little PS, if you're looking for an art tutor or a teacher or an art coach, I am available. I have some slots available, so just get in contact with me. My email will be here, and just let me know. I always love to hear from you. Bye guys, love you.